Seems a couple of folks are missing, which is okay. Supply chain people are kind of, quite, I would say, expert on managing such situations, right? We always kind of deal with situations when resources are not there. So we'll continue with, the folks we have here. So we heard some great, experts, and it's the time of the practitioners to talk about, share our experience. It's an interesting topic when we talk about, disruption or digital. Again, what comes first is similar to, chicken and egg story, whether disruption comes first or digital come first. It depends upon the maturity of the organization, as well as the technology, as well as the process, right? So we'll be talking about it. So introductions have been done, so I will not talk about it. We have around 37-38 minutes with us. We'll spend around 30 plus minutes talking about the topic, and we'll open it up for all of you to ask questions. So coming on to the topic, so when we talk about digital, so digital is all about automation, as we all know, right? The whole purpose of automation is to find efficiencies, bring technology, do things better, faster. That's what happens, right? And the output of it is generally the visibility and the control that we create in any kind of process. That's where the digital stuff comes. When we talk about the technologies that we use, it could be a ERP, it could be a source to pay or source to contract tool, it could be a IoT device, it could be blockchain. All these are the technologies which are related to digital. The moment we touch upon disruption is all about changing the way you work. It could be bringing in a new technology which changes everything, or it could be defining altogether a new process or the way of work. So there is a difference, right? And as I said, it's very hard to say what comes first, digital or disruption, because if you're changing a process without even bringing a technology, disruption is already there. Look at D2C brands, how they kind of do direct delivery to consumers from the factory. There is limited technology there, so they don't call it fully a digital framework, but it works, right? That's a process. So with that, we'll start with the panel question. So my first question will be to you, Mr. Sanjeev. When we talk about moving from digital to disruption, or maybe the other way around, would like to hear how is this taken up in your industry? What are your personal views on this? And maybe a couple of examples.
Sure. Good morning, everybody. I would like to thank Business World for organizing this forum for discussing the latest which is happening in supply chain. Now, coming on to digital to disruption, you see, digital, how I see and how my organization see, is something which is already existing. We've already crossed that stage of ERPs, of automation, of or dashboards. So that is something which we have already arrived at. And disruption is something which the new emerging technologies can bring to the supply chain and create a new supply chain model or a new business model. So in our case, I come from Altruist technologies who have diversified interests, diversified businesses in India and abroad. So let me just share the kind of businesses we are into. We are into IT, we are into telecom, we are into BPO, we are into hospitality, we are into e-commerce, logistics, we are into coal mining, we are into digital marketing and digital media services. So it's a quite diversified field. And when I look at implementation of these new emerging technologies like AI, ML, IoT, cloud computing, or blockchain, so we have initiated in every business some part of this technology to create a disruption, not only within the organization, but in the market as well. So in the prior discussion, it came out that we are already, and every supply chain professional knows it very well. We are experiencing a lot of disruptions, whether it is geopolitical, whether it is tariff wars, whether it is actual wars, whether it is climatic. And technology is something which is also coming as a disruption in supply chain. So let me take an example of BPO. The implementation of AI, what we have done there is in terms of workforce management. We have implemented AI in workforce management for having a better productivity. Then there is a implementation experience of customer sentimental analysis. Yeah, and in terms of how the customers talk, the natural languages, ML, which comes over here. When I talk about e-commerce logistics, it is the real-time traceability of the shipments. And when we talk about in terms of the customer experience and the route planning, that's where these technologies, new technologies are implemented in our case. Let me take an example of hospitality. In hospitality, we are using AI for the dynamic pricing. We are using AI for even online bookings, the portals where the inventories are available and they can see the inventories. In terms of the smart rooms, how can the rooms be keyless? How can the lighting in the rooms can be smart? So all these are examples which we have implemented these emerging technologies.
Great. Thanks, Mr. Sanjeev. Great to hear the examples. Manuj has joined us just now, and I'll put you on spot, Manuj.
Yeah,
Same
thank you,
question,
thank you.
right?
That is,
Maybe-
sorry for being late, and
No,
I
that's
think
okay.
I go with that.
I understand. So the question was, when we talk about digital to disruption, right? If you can talk about what's your kind of industry view on this, or how do you see this as an practitioner?
Okay. So first of all, thanks to BW for inviting me here and among us this wonderful audience and the brilliant mind sitting here. I'm sorry I reached just now, as usual, stuck up in traffic. I think, Brish, this is something absolutely I would say a very critical and something most desired thing as of now, which we used to think sometimes ago as a buzzword, as we talking about that disruptions taking place either in the shape of the tariffs, the trade wars, price escalations, and every day morning we wake up, we find ourselves sitting in one country or another country is in a war, and recent example being the Mexico, right? So I think now we have started living with this kind of disruption. So this is very aptly defined, Brish. First of all, thanks for disruption to digital theme. So I think we need to understand that now this is becoming a part of day in day out to each and every organization, irrespective of any sector, be it FMCG, be it automotive, be it IT, any kind of industry. This is going to be a kind of daily scenario. So it is no more a kind of optional. First of all, it's no more a optional. It is a mandate for us because we have seen. I would take just a quickly recap of the pandemic scenario. So hardly 5 years back, when we all understood that we wake up in the morning and find some big monster in front of us, and the whole world was shutting down. We were starting from the scratch for any industry, be it any industry globally. So we never thought that this world would be the similar again where we left hardly few days back. But just imagine, I take pride in declaring that I was with one of the organization who has been the largest the two-wheeler manufacturer at that point of time. So I'm sorry, I could not touch my introduction. So I carry a mixed blend of ICE as well as the EV space. So I think organizations have done quite wonders even at that point of time, considering the requirement of business continuity process. As long as we understand it as a requirement, not as a optional, By the year gone by, we are now finding in the midst of crisis every day, I would say this. I am choosing the word very carefully. The reason being, this is something we find that our supply chain is almost on the condition, and there is no option or margin given to us by our internal stakeholders within the organizations. And by the way, thanks to all these things, which has put us from the back-end function to the fore-end function of supply chain. And SCM, I would say the guy is now occupying the boardroom very frequently. So that's something, sometimes blessings in disguise. So I would say that first of all, this has to be taken, this shift is a very careful shift, which has to be dealt with utmost sort of, the criticality and very religious way. When I say religious way, so organization need to work in collaboration of their supply chain partners and their internal stakeholders. See, gone are the days when we were talking about that something, if it is done, then it's okay. If it is not done, then this was the, the supplier's kind of fault, or he has not given this. What can I do? No. I think we can't live with that kind of supply chain anymore. We have to have a very, very greater and larger hand holding with our suppliers. And this should not be limited only to the T1 level, tier 1. We need to stretch our arms. We need to extend our arms with the tier 2, tier 3, tier 4. That means the perfect collaboration and the synchronization of our supply chain linkages in the value stream mapping has to be with our internal stakeholders. So that is the first part. And second, I would say that if this has to be taken in the real sanctity by any organization, because all of us may find our relevance in one way or another way in our industry. So we have to first of all deal with this subject in collaboration with the digital transformation, because we have experienced the huge benefits. We did that some 10 years back. We never thought that at that point of time, it used to be a normal scenario and coupled with some sort of, the crisis, which is a day in day out part of supply chain. But we reap the advantages when we realize that we are hardly hit by this particular pandemic. So my views is strictly, I think that we need to take this on a real sanctity and on a war footing medium, if not done, so that we carry the advantages. So it's an opportunity with us, and this will give you a larger benefits in the coming course also. Yeah.
Sure. Thanks, Manuj. So in fact, very quickly, if I talk about my organization, so we are basically known as the disruptor in the e-commerce space way back in 2008. After that, everything has been app-based as we see. At that point, we called ourselves as disruptor, but then, used digital modes to kind of do that. If you look at the disruptions that are happening every single day, be it a 5 or 7 minute delivery, that's a disruption in the industry. While we are ride hailing, the pricing model today is a SaaS based. So it's not a marketplace, it's a software for which, the drivers are actually paying today. So all these are disruptions that we see. I'll move to my next question, and that is based on one of, the recent report that came out from McKinsey, which said everyone tried AI. 95% could not move it from pilot to implementation, right? So whether they call it failure or they call it, delayed implementation, that's a debatable topic. I would like to hear from you, Abhishek. So what is it that is required to make a pilot using disruptive technology or disruptive digitization to a very, very successful business?
Thank you, Brish. Hi, everyone. Good morning once again. I think, just going to Brish's question, the report he referred, the word is called pilot purgatory, right? Where each one of us starts some proof of concept, a pilot implementation at one of the plants in one of the functions, but it never scales up, right? And, as I go into the reasons, of course, what we, at Coca-Cola, what we are doing, because while we from outside look like a global large company, we are also a aggregation of our bottling partners, which are a family-run enterprise, which are not the digital native companies, right? So whenever we are working with a large set of stakeholders, which can be as vast as, from a family-owned business to a listed companies, and then of course functional stakeholders, which I believe the first thing which kind of, helps us in doing any pilot to find a scale is start with why, right? We are not doing it because AI, ML or everything is in fashion, right? As long as it serves the business need and it is kind of, fit for purpose, there are businesses, there are stakeholders which will get invested in you. So starting with why is something that is kind of, giving us the right directions of discussions that we have. Of course, when you're looking at it, it also has to be a top-down, bottom-up thing, right? If you are doing something which doesn't find a leadership acceptance or a sponsorship from the top, and it doesn't kind of, enable the change management, my read is you may do it because, some of the vendors had a relationship, or you are giving a proof of concept as free or at lower cost, but it will never find a scale because the leadership did not believe in it, right? So why and sponsorship actually, or enablement becomes an important part. Third thing which kind of gets into is the co-creation with the users, right? If you are doing something which remains the central office or head office, but it's not talking to the grassroots or people who are going to use it, consume it, there are high chances that you will not see adoption, right? And despite being a beautiful product and a beautiful solution, you may still not find scale. And hence, that's what we call as a grassroots transformation, right? Because the users need to kind of, feel this, absorb and have that experience. And, the biggest challenge when we are doing this, while these are all fundamental in terms of how do we bring a change, and for digital or AI in, place is, the starting point is, we say data is the new oil, right? So the starting point is data and systems. If we do not have those, it may take us longer time. I'm not saying that it's impossible, but it may take us longer time to actually reach the stage where a business case, a technology finds, a sponsorship for itself and starts proving that it. So I'll say, I think these 3 or 4 key elements, which you start, and then you can always have a, as I say, a platform solution or a plug and point solution. I think all of this can start kind of churning those out.
Thanks, Abhishek. You touched upon, the adoption, which definitely is one of the key thing, and we'll come back to that. You touched upon data also. And, this is a question that we always keep asking. We've been discussing a lot of forums. A lot of people are not starting digitization just because they don't have data, right? And trust me, guys, you will never have 100% data, right? So it's all about, starting now. And based on that, my next question is to you, Rajni. Again, the same thing. We talk about data. As I said, it will never be available. So when should one start? Is it like an overhyped thing that you need to have data, then only you start? Or you think you can start at any point in time?
I think a very relevant question. I'll just continue to be what my fellow colleagues have spoke about. I think data, it's currently what has been treated as more like a dashboard. So data only helps when it is helping in making some decision making. So there is no particular time when you can enter. I think you can enter any point of time, provided data is not seen just for a dashboard, which gives us a red, green, yellow alert, but it should help to the senior management. It should help to the people who are using it in finally taking a decision. I'll talk from my experience into the entire FMCG, earlier with Jubilant and now with the Agristo. It's better to use the control towers and to the data into the particular segments rather than start seeing end to end. Because many a time we start feeling we need a dashboard start from the end-to-end process, then it remains like a data rather than giving just a decision. We may be feeling that it's giving an alert, but what we are going to do finally with that alert, that makes a difference. So that's a really useful, like apply the control towers, apply the digital into a critical segments. You can put it on a critical SKU if you have a number of SKU operating. We can do that on an inbound logistics. We can do on a network optimization, but that should really help. That is my experience in the FMCG sector. And when you say like how this has been maybe considered overdue, because most of the people feel that we can get everything out of the control tower, we can everything out of the data. We can get it, but whether that is helping us in taking a real decision, that's absolutely has to be seen. It can help us if we know that it's not giving an alert, it is helping what is at risk today. What can we see as a mitigation plan? Then I think that is really helpful. And there's no particular timeline or the stage where the organization can enter into. I think that can enter into. And many of us feel maybe data and the control tower, digital dashboard can replace people. I think that's still not true. Yes, that helps people in taking a right decision making, right time and right fit for the business. That's what I'll say.
Great, thanks. I know FMCG is a very complex sector which sits on a lot of data. If you just wait for it, I doubt you'll ever start, right? The same issue comes in the automobile sector also. Manuj, I'll come to you. Automobile also sits on, I would say, I don't know what's the right number, maybe 1 million SKUs or different, part numbers that you source, right? What has been your journey? Did you wait for data or did you just start?
Thanks, Brish. I was about to raise my hand because I could not resist when Rajni was deliberating. So I quickly went back 10 years back where I ended my first, the deliberations. So thanks again, Brish. This is something very close to my heart. So I would like to jump in more on this. See, I remember you rightly said that what is the right time? Without taking the name where I worked for the previous organization, world largest manufacturers, and they are maintaining that position 25 years consecutively in a row. We had some 8.5 millions of annual, you rightly said, and I have personally transacted close to 7,000 of the part codes and holding inventory value of close to 125 CR band with the APV annual purchase value of 6,000, which is roughly translating to $650 million. So when we put up this proposal to the the top leadership that we would like to go for the largest enterprise level digitization, okay. So the first question came is, what is the need for that? See, any organization who has been doing quite well, like you also very rightly mentioned that. So once you are doing it fantastically, is it a kind of ritual or something for the sake of only fashion? Let's not take it as a fashion. So I faced kind of resistance in terms of that. Things are going quite well. Everything is going down. Top line is maintained. Supply chain is being perfectly, But the point is whether you want to go with the structured or the systematic of the supply chain, which will take care of your disruptions in the coming time, apart from your day-to-day business. So, Brish, this has been a fantastic journey. This was close to 2.5 years. And I think it was successfully coordinated with the synchronization and integration of the responsible departments, be it supply chain, be it warehousing, logistics, and along with our supply chain partners who were the very integral part. And of course, we took the help of one of the big four for carrying out because that was a requirement of integrating in the backend side with the SAP MM module and the PP module. So I would say that, of course, when we started this journey, so there was a kind of resistance in the mind. I would say that once you decide to take for that, the minds, the fresh pair of eyes, what I call usually. So that you have to have that fresh pair of eyes to look in a different way from 30,000 square feet or something from 30,000 feet height. The only point is that once we realized that, so the next point was that there was a lot of resistance in the minds of people who actually were doing the things for 20 years, 20 odd years, 30 years. So how to transform their thought to that particular one. And like also you said that there is a huge data. So I totally echo with your thought that the right time is whenever you decide, you go with that. It may be 30%, it may be 35%, 40%, but sometimes for the sake of achieving some brilliant magic numbers, we run out of that race. So even if it is 1% a day, that's a very famous quote to me, at the end of 365 days, it adds to some compounding effects. So I totally go with this thought that this has to have a kind of, a right now, today is the right day or yesterday was the right day to carry out that task. It's never too late. Yeah.
Thanks for that. So that, take me to my first job. That was sometime in 2001. I started my job with a company called Commerce One, which was the first company globally to do e-procurement solutions, which is SAP. My SAP is the solution which was originally built, so it was acquired. So I was thinking, about the Indian Oil story also. While we say that PSUs generally take time to kind of, deploy digitization, I still remember 2003. I ended up doing the first reverse auction for Indian Oil, and after that, it just became a trend. I and my team, we were only traveling to, various refineries doing reverse auction, right? Absolutely. Was their data available? No. They said, just invite tenders, run the, auctions, and that way we might be, start capturing, the data in your system, right? So that was the journey I remember. So we discussed about what is disruption and digitization. We looked at the data. Now let's look at, certain impact that we expect in the area of supply chain, which would come. And for that, I'll come to you, Mr. Sanjeev. What do you think are the areas where the digitization and disruption in next 12 to 18 months will have the maximum impact in supply chain domain?
Well, looking at 12 to 18 months, I believe the low-hanging fruits can be in terms of digital, forecasting, predictive forecasting, and it could be inventory optimization by use of AI. And added to this could be the supplier recalibration. Yeah. And when looking at a longer period of 3 to 5 years, I look at that AI and ML is going to be the baseline. Yeah, we can build upon AI and ML in the next 3 to 5 years, but the other technologies like blockchain, I have a difference of opinion what Mr. Agarwal said about blockchain. You see, today the blockchain is becoming imperative for food and pharma industry, being a compliance requirement. Yeah, where the end customers, the buyers, they want to know from where it has been sourced and how it has been tracked. And that is the reason that blockchain will still be used in coming 3 to 5 years' time. And cloud computing is another where you have, that's another point, when you have operations spread across the country or maybe in the world. Cloud computing is something which is going to help in decision making, in data availability. Yeah. The niche technologies which I see is yet to be, which are still in the pilot stage and yet to be experimented, is something like 3D printing or quantum computing, for which the use cases are there, but it's not, the volume is not there. Though it will come, but may not be in the coming 3 to 5 years' time.
Got it. So you seem to be a great fan of blockchain. So definitely, what I'm aware that this is something which works in telecom, works in banks very well. So, additional industries definitely would watch out for it. Even automobile, yeah, I totally agree, right? It works everywhere, yeah. Right. So, one of the point that Abhishek touched upon earlier was all about adoption. So, one can buy technology easily. You can deploy, deploying a technology is so easy today. That's where, you see everything is on cloud. You can deploy maybe in a couple of days, or you can deploy in, couple of months, right? Any kind of technology. The real challenge comes on adopting that technology. So I would like to hear from, Abhishek, first you, and then from you, Rajni. What do you think is required to make technology adoption easier in the organization?
Now, if I say from the acceptance perspective, it's not a system which create an bottleneck. Actually, that's a change management, and how that is the adoption going to help that individual. So generally, what works it, rather than we try to bring a new technology, we should try to bring the technology into the existing workflow to start with, and to see that how can it help in making their work redundancy slow. Rather than if people feel that that is adding more work to them, that's become really challenging. Another thing I feel, which again is talked about, is leadership commitment. How leadership is driving that the overall change management, whether they believe it or whether they just wanted to implement it for the sake of implementing. Because many times it happens because technology, everyone knows that that's going to help. What is the right stage? What is the right tool? We just wanted to do it because it's a large setup and we wanted to invest now. So it should be how that is helping the business. So it's a trust of the leadership, then trust of that particular function, and then trust of that individual as well, like how they believe that that is going to help us in bringing. I think that's more important to bring any technology change into real life.
Great, really helpful. Abhishek, would like to hear from you.
Thank you, Brish, and thank you, Rajni, for touching upon the points of change and leadership. I'll just take, maybe add on to those. So whenever all of us go through this, right? We are trying to make an app or use an app or trying to change the ways of working using a digital solution. Sometimes it's a process change, sometimes it's a technology change, right? While the earlier half of my conversation talked about why and leadership commitment and making it co-creation, the important part is what is in it for me, right? If you have addressed that question for people who are going to adopt it, it becomes, you have won half the battle, right? What is in it for me? How does it help me? Makes me productive? Or even addressing the fear of will it make me redundant, right? Or, there are anxieties. So these are, when you are talking, Brish, about the adoption, this is one big block that we need to win for this. And whenever we are going through these things, right? Whenever we are going for implementing, today when we are implementing, let's say AI, ML in demand forecasting using weather, promotions, a lot of other things, there is conventional wisdom which lies, and then you have to kind of challenge that with data and statistics. No technology or no solution will find success in day one, month one, or year one, right? And there are people who vouch out that, okay, we will try it out, we will be the early adopters. But again, what is in it for me? And then when we are going through that change or that journey, I think it's important to also celebrate small wins. Sometimes we actually kind of, forget recognition of somebody who took the first step or kind of, gone through the entire change to even make something better, even if it was not perfect or usable at the, stage. So that's second thing for, when we look at, when we are doing any program which doesn't become a pilot purgatory, is like celebrating small wins in all the forums and kind of giving that motivation. And third thing is, we all need to reskill ourselves, right? I acknowledging that I don't know is the first step to start. Saying that, okay, maybe I didn't know how the AI/ML works or how to use this, BI tools better, and then kind of, training ourselves to make sure that we possess those skill sets to make these, transitions successful and sustainable. And, we need to invest in leadership training and development along with the other softer aspects we touched upon. So I think the three factors in addition to change and leadership which can happen.
No, that really is helpful. While we say it's a top-driven approach, but it depends upon how you as an individual are also picking it up. Very, very important. One of the very recent, thing that I heard in one of the conferences, someone said a survey says that the handsets or the phones that we only use 4% features of it, right? Which is interesting to know. We could afford technology, but are we really using it? Let's take a simple example, right? Payments. How many of us actually end up using WhatsApp as a payment mode, though it exists, right? It's all about branding also. Maybe Google did a better branding or Paytm did a better branding. Or maybe the UI was so great that, that option was easy. So change management, leadership push, branding, usage, all these are, the right set of factors, I would say. I just want to add how we are driving AI in our organization. While it's a top-down approach, this has actually become a KPI for us. So every single person in our organization has access to Gemini, right from, I would say, day one when it was launched. OpenAI, again, it was given almost 3 years back when it came into existence. And we started tracking who's actually using and who's not. Those who were not using, they were told, guys, I don't think so you guys are right fit for the organization, because sitting in a tech company, if you are not using the tech, sorry, may not be the right place for you, right? So this became a KPI, and we ran a lot of competitions. As Abhishek was saying, we have been rewarding people. Last week only we awarded $3,000 to one of the group within finance, who now has been allowed to build something, in our domain, because they met a lot of parameters, right? So, adoption is important. Along with that is, the talent also. We often miss talent, right? As I said, technology can come, but if you don't have the right talent, it will be a challenge. So my next question is almost to everyone, right? How do you see talent coming in the supply chain domain from the digital side? Do you think people are really adopting it, not adopting? What are the skill sets missing? What are the behaviors missing? And how do we kind of solve for that? Maybe one minute each from everyone. Maybe we'll start with you, Manuj.
I think, Brish, little bit allow me to build quick story on that, which is of previous connect, because I'm finding very, very interactive and very, very insightful. And see, I totally agree that, first of all, while you very rightly hit the bullet, you said that let us not do it for the sake of doing it only. I remember in one of the organizations, when I was building up a story on my, the large scale digital transformation in supply chain. See, the first and foremost is that our IT guy came to me and said, Manuj, okay, fine. There is something which you people have pushed hard to me and you were after my blood for allocating the SAPs, the license to so and so, so hundreds of users. So he said, I have a very interesting dashboard to you. I will take you just a couple of minutes. So Brish, you won't believe that out of 100 guys, so there is a report which all of us are very aware for, as long as 20 years we have started using SAP. So there were close to 80% of the staff who never logged into their SAPs. So story doesn't end here. Out of 20% band, hardly I could find 2.5% the band who were actively using the T codes of the SAPs. Like you said, that we have at our disposal the technological intervention, but are we really seriously doing that? One is that the financial implications, because it's a very costly affair for allocating the license of SAP, if I know that. So we have to make sure that there is a right adoption for that. And then quickly coming to AI, before I will wrap up for this, the kind of skill set, which is whether it is a requirement of going into this or not. See, I largely advocate on the AI sides is saying that it is not sure whether AI will impact all of us or not. But if somebody doesn't know AI, it is definitely going to impact that, whether it's an industry, enterprise, or any organization. Now I would wrap up on saying that skill set, I would say that the kind of skill sets which is of required, that's a very brilliant question. So the kind of transformation which we have witnessed in the last 5 years, and still we in the mid of crisis every day, like I said, the disruption taking place. So I largely advocate in terms of whenever I participate for sharing my thoughts. So I say that one is business continuity process. It is not for the name of only showing a business continuity. I think we must try that we inculcate that things to the staff whosoever is, joining the organization, particularly in the SCM field, and then the leveraging technologies. How technological intervention, like we talked about AI ML. I remember, I won't touch that part, that how we implemented ML at one of our suppliers and who was supplying one of the very casting parts. So that is how so business continuity, leveraging technology, and how innovative you are. Innovative doesn't mean that you are looking at some very shining sort of project. You do very small thing, like I think he rightly said. Do small things and you will find it. So these are the skill sets which I feel. Yeah.
Rajni, over to you, and just 1 minute max.
Yes, no. I'll just further add on to him because when he said, like, when the IT team and the other functions comes up with the big list, like what they wanted to implement and how that can help into the business. And when you ask them to prioritize and how that is really giving ROI and that is really how it's going to help, then the list becomes shorter. And even a very simple tool when we talk about, like, is people are using it. So when you reach to extracting the data, that's really become difficult, like how to make people to use it. So I think from the skill set perspective, from the these days, skill is not an issue. It's more like how to implement it and what phase to implement it and how that is going to helpful for them. So until unless the people realize it, what's in for them, I think there's no issue of skill set. There is no issue of investment by the companies. It's more like they have to find it out what's for them. That is really important.
Thank you.
I'll just build up on that. You see, in terms of when we talk about the skill set, it would definitely require new skills in the supply chain. And that could be in terms of the as a digital analyst in a supply chain team, or maybe a cybersecurity exposure. You see, cybersecurity is something which is coming with these new technologies, which is a cause of concern as well. So you got to safeguard your data. So that kind of skill set would be required in the supply chain teams. Yeah. Second is, you got to build a culture for adoption. Yeah. So when we say what's in it for me, it means when you embed these technologies into the workflows, and how does it make their life easier, right? whether it is internal or it is external. Internal within the teams or external with your partners, suppliers also. Right? So we have to create a culture where everybody would like to see how it's making my life easier.
Right. Thank you, Abhishek.
Less than a minute, but just building on the thoughts the panelists shared. I think when we are looking at talents and skill, first it starts with yourself. It is no longer an IT or a information department job to actually use technology. It's up to you to kind of start practicing it in terms of whether it's using Gemini, OpenAI, or for that matter Coke GPT that we use. So it starts with yourself. Even if you are bringing in, second point is if you are bringing in some talent, but you are not kind of knowing how to use it, I don't think you can do justice to that talent. And if you have not enabled that ecosystem where your organization is actually talking about data driven or using technology, I think you will not find a match, and somewhere shortly you will get separated, right? And that's what is happening with Gen Z. When you have smartphones in hand and you ask them to work on ledgers, I'm sorry, they are not going to work. They will ask for an app, or they will build something the moment they enter. So that's how the Gen Z and the new skills and the great place to work will have to adapt themselves in terms of using solution. And third, as I said, it's always a time for co-pilots, companions. Here today, Microsoft co-pilots or Google Gemini's. I think all of these are for real, right? So if you are not using it, you will get impacted. How do you use it will decide, what's your path. So I think we should, and there was a McKinsey report which said that 25% of the workforce by 2030 will be co-pilots. So you will not be surprised that if robotics was for industrial area, co-pilots are for the information area, and you will have a, colleague as a co-pilot. So that's
great. Thanks. If I just have to add on my views on this, what we need as a talent is more of a soft skill, right? First, you need to have the curiosity that yes, I really want to do this and how this works. Second is, the creativity. While we say, the AIs are killing the creativity, but there is a creativity element in defining the prompt, how you write, right? So those are the couple of things. I'll kind of, end it with one of the things that I kind of was discussing in one of the forums, and someone came with an interesting thing. They said, if you really want AI to work for you or, GPT to work, act like as if you have a broken heart, you have failed in, sort of a affair. हिंदी में जैसे बोलते हैं कि अपना दुखड़ा सुना दो with all the emotions. The system will understand your emotion. It will understand, what you are asking for, and the result will be much better. And I have been testing this. I've been using AI for 3+ years. I put all my persona onto the tool. What kind of person I am, what qualities I have, what is it that I basically look at the outcome, what is it that my manager expect me to do. I have linked my Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, X, everything on it. The results that I today get is very, very different just because it has understood the persona, right? Where it came from, honestly, it came to me from the fear of job loss, right? What if a computer or a technology replaces me? So that fear always kind of, keep me curious and keep me competing with, everyone around. So with that, I would say it was a great discussion. I know we are above time now, but in case anyone has a couple of questions, yeah, please.
In terms of visibility versus the predictive capability.
Got it. Great. Anyone would like to take that up? What is the investment required to have, the visibility versus the predictability? Maybe Abhishek, yeah?
So thank you for the question, and definitely it's not an easy one, right? It again. So I'll tell you where we are in the story of that Coke when we are looking at it. See, depending upon the maturity, today, if we have decisions which are need to be taken because we didn't have visibility. Today, let's say quick commerce is selling some campaigns and all, but I as a Coke supply chain, I don't know, and if some of the products will go stock out during an year-end sale or something like that, I'll prefer visibility over predictability, right? Because what is happening will help me decide here and now, right? What is the decisions that I need to take to make sure that I am not having an immediate business loss or a service loss. And that's where, and if I say that, okay, some of my bottling partners, some of my franchise partners already have achieved that stage, then actually comes the stage of predicting, okay, that now you have the visibility of operations, you're able to take those optimal decisions on cost, service, campaigns, promotions, investments. How do you kind of, start predicting it better, right? Whether it is linked to any event, of course, some of them are unpredictable, but some of them are like weather. And some of the, what we talk about as our trade promotion schemes and analysis that, okay, if we are doing these new products, if we are doing these schemes, how will it start impacting me? So things, when you have actually kind of achieved the visibility layer is somewhere we start looking into predictability, but no right answer. I think it depends upon which stage you are in and what impacts you most, right?
I'll just add to it. Traditionally the research was always done on a sample which was being pulled from the population. In today's world, it's the other way around. If you have some data, you can actually populate it to understand what the whole scenario would be. Data science is all around that. Even if you have 10% data, put it on the system will help you to predict, balance 90%, maybe with 80% accuracy. So things have definitely changed. That's where, sooner the better, I would say. Yes, sir. I think you had a question, sir.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, Mr. Abhishek, you already touched upon this thing. Maybe I can ask you to give a bit elaborate more on what sort of tools are you actually using when you speak about visibility? And the second part is we spoke about disruptions in the supply chain. So what tools will be more applicable when we talk about the digital technologies? Because we spoke about the macroeconomic disruptions, which Mr. Pankaj spoke about today. So what sort of tools would be more relevant? Because when we talk about disruptions, we should also talk about how to really address them also with the tools which are at our disposal. So two parts.
Anyone would like to take that up? Yeah.
See, I think quite relevant what he tried to touch upon the digital to disruption, if I'm not wrong. Sir, the only point is what I carry with me as a part of in my kitty, which I use in one of the organization. So I think we what we did is we started, like I said, that we had that that pride of carrying that digital transformation. So we did that by taking the historical data of what the organization has done for last 20-30 years, which was available in different pieces. I don't hesitate in saying that. It was not systematic in structure. That is what was the leadership vision of bringing it systematic structure, point number one. So then I think the way to start is that we need to little bit organize it in the way of, putting it into some sort of usable tools. We took a help of course, in the shape of SAPs. We did that. But the only point was the trigger. The takeoff point from the runway was we started working largely onto the SCM strategy and SCM network design. When I say SCM strategy is what? It is only that once the product or the services which are offered by the organization, they are coupled with the information. So we put that the information taste into the product and services. And then point number 3, so network design is one of the more thing which we did it, and we were largely, I would say, close to 85% of success. And that too after 2.5 years. It took 2.5 years. After the synchronization, integration using SAP, using Big Four, one of the Big Four, for the sanctity, I won't quote the name of that. So we because your SCM network design says that you are building a supply chain to de-risk the factor which are out of your controls. So that was the kind of pattern which we adopted, and then we transferred successfully to the SCM control tower. I think for the sanctity, we could not deliberate more on that. We feel sorry for that. But the network SCM control tower is something which is putting all your, the data which are into your supply chain, be it your schedule adherence, be it your window time adherence, be it your capacity planning, supplier managements, QC PDM parameters, which you are putting in one particular shape. And then you are assessing your supply chain, whether you are getting impacted of your supply chain partners kitty on the pan India or the global wide. How is that coming? And I can quote it quickly here that we were doing it during pandemic time. We attempted for that. As I said that when we carried out this digital transformation 10 years back, we never had this thing in the mind that some monster is approaching us in the next 5 years or 6 years. And we will be hitting very badly because of that. but we got that advantage because by God grace, we started attempting for that. And then only thing left with us was to go for the SCM control tower. So control tower ensured the timeline, visibility, consistency, cost optimization, and the I would say the efficiency up also. So that was the advantage which we carried out. So control tower will enable you to look at that, the parameter that if you are getting impacted in one of your say around Maharashtra suppliers because of some XYZ disruption, are you able to sustain your business even without that particular supply chain? So that means in the back end, you are working on a number of factors of reducing reliance on the single sources. You are working on hand holdings. You are working on some other parameters. China plus one strategy, which you are using if you are dependent on the China's way. So that is how there are numerous ways which will help. Right.
So I'll just add, and after that we'll close this session. So I'll talk about vendor risk management module. There are multiple modules, multiple tools we can discuss. What VRM tool does today is the moment you start onboarding a vendor in your system, till the time the vendor is sitting in your system, you get full review of that vendor, whatever is happening in their domain. For example, if you are onboarding someone for a very simple thing like a housekeeping service, right? It will automatically tell you if they are meeting the labor compliances or not. What is the GST compliance for this? What is the adverse media for this? After that, if you have onboarded, it can talk to your internal system and tell about the performance of that supplier. If there is a disruption happening in that industry, housekeeping industry, it will actually tell you, okay, you are now at risk and here is the solution that you can actually work on. So multiple modules and with autonomous sourcing and orchestration tools. These are some new technologies which are coming. They are solving a lot of these things, right? Wherein it can pull legal information for you. It can pull the financial due diligence also for you. So we can talk definitely about it. Don't want to kind of, take others' time here, right? But I think it was a good discussion. Thanks everyone for participating and thanks for all the questions. And we are here for next couple of hours. Definitely can answer anything. Yeah. Thank you.